The problem is the system itself is not set up to provide you services. I'll give you one example.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where is it that the administrative should be paying it attention? Okay, it's who's the guy whom the average person depends on. So it's the district magistrate.
Right.
He's still the MIBAP of the district.
Right.
The municipal commissioner. These are important people for our daily lives. But it will surprise many people to realize that they are actually the junior most people in the hierarchy of the bureaucracy. So the average district magistrate is only around 33 years old or 35 years old. They are in the bureaucracy, they are actually at the bottom of the heap or little above the bottom of the heap. And they'll be sent to the district, he'll somehow survive there for 18 months and then he'll carry on. Now this is where the rubber is hitting the road.
Right.
And here you are sending the junior most guy, keeping him there for barely 18 months before he can figure out how the machine even works. How do you expect him to provide services? Whereas when he becomes more senior, when people will finally begin listening to him, he is then sitting in the secretariat pushing files around. So, if you wanted a service-oriented system, you should get much more senior people to be actually being a district magistrate, or to be in the things that actually cut the edge. A senior official should be sitting in the property registration office and make sure it works. Make sure the Tehsildar, Patwari, whoever it is works. So you have to empower this system in a way at the point where the delivery of that service happens.
Right.
Whereas the experienced, more senior people are sitting far away in the state capital, national capital, and so on. Now, I'm not saying that important positions are not there as well. Yeah, I mean, obviously the finance secretary, defense secretary are important people. But a very large part of the service should be here.
It's a high impact position.
This is a high impact position. That's where they should be. And they should be there for long periods of time, not 18 months. I mean, the average district magistrate is just there for 18 months in that position. Should be there for fixed 3 years at least, if not 4 years. And that should be the time period when that person really understands the system, delivers some goods. If you're there for doing something for 4 years, you begin to do it.
Right.
If you're there for 18 months, 1 year, even the brightest guy requires 1 year, at least 1 year cycle to figure out what is even happening. Okay, then 6 months he's able to do something, and before whatever he's doing, he's able to deliver, he's shifted. So obviously, short-term things happen.
I don't understand why even colonial or socialist mindset would dictate. Like 18 months from your logic sounds like an absurdly small amount of time.
No, because in that time, you are actually not interested in doing any big ticket development work. You are interested in making sure that you send a young guy who is risk taking. He and the police chap can control the district during a riot. That is your main thing. So he is more like an operational guy who will take risks, manage the riot when he has to. That is his role. He is not managing a highway project over a long period of time, or trying to improve the schools over a period of time, or whatever else we would now expect him to do.
Right.
That's not his job. He has to make sure riots nahi hote. And then he should be a young, energetic guy. And also, in those days, it was difficult to live in some far-off district. Not today. I mean, most remote parts of the country, cell phones work.
Yep.
Some sort of school is there. Their kids can go. In fact, I am a big believer that until the bureaucracy sends their own kids to the government schools will never improve.
Yes. There is skin in the game in that.
There's skin in the game. You have to create skin in the game. He actually lives there. He actually interacts there for long periods of time.
Right.
So, in fact, even through the system, they may go back to the secretariat. They should come back to the ground again.
Right. You said something about revamping the system both in administrative and judicial sort of terms. And I'll come to judiciary in just a second. But even in first of all, sir, what do you mean the system? Because the system is again a bogeyman as far as laymen are concerned. We just blame the system as if the system is a thing. Do you mean laws, bylaws, rules, regulations? Do you mean system as in the operational architecture of that?
Both of them. So there's two sets. And so here, let me say, there are structural reforms that you need to do. Those are the GST, insolvency and bankruptcy code, whatever. These are big structural reforms. But a lot of the reforms we need to do are actually process reforms. So given a structure, Simply the process by which it happens. Why on earth do we need to go through 15 different signatures to get something done?
Agreed.
There's no need.
Right.
So a lot of the reforms we need to do is simply getting rid of all these things. And by the way, again, this comes from the mindset of control. Why do you need those 15 signatures? Because effectively you have, it's all about making sure that you can control something that happens.
Right.
And nobody in the system can be blamed for whatever happened.
Right.
That is basically the logic. You are not trying to achieve anything.
You're trying to prevent it.
Or you're trying to prevent something, or
Right.
at least prevent blame, if nothing else.
Right.
So, given that is the focus, you will obviously have a system of these kinds of processes. Everything requires something called an NOC. In fact, till very, very recently, you wanted a passport also, you had to go to a so-called gazetted officer to get a no objection certificate or some such thing. I mean, why? As a citizen of the country, I have a right to a passport.
Yes.
Right? Unless I have done something criminal,
Right.
you're supposed to give it to me. Why do some gazetted officer, who is the gazetted officer? Why does he need to certify who I am? And then it obviously creates a whole ecosystem of dalals, agents and middlemen, and then system of giving small favors. So
A
this
favor
whole
ecosystem.
A favor ecosystem happens.
Right, yes.
And again, it goes back all the way to the old system of control. So let me give you an example. There, in colonial period, there used to be a permit called a kursi nashin permit, something like that it was called. Basically, it was a permit to allow an Indian the right to sit in front of a European officer. Okay. Now, it is not difficult to get. It was not difficult to get. But you see, it was a random new favor that was created. So, supposing I was higher up, I was the, I considered myself to be a Chaudhary Saab.
Right.
I had such a permit and you didn't. Therefore, I'm higher up the hierarchy. Now, what you can see, what it has done is created a small favor.
Right.
Where nothing exists. Out of thin air, I've created a system of control.
I've created a currency out of nowhere. Yes.
Now, if you behave badly, I will take it away and I'll give it to the other guy. Now, he'll be the Chaudhary Saab. You see, so this is what the gazetted officer thing is, the same logic.
Right.
And much of the fascination with UPSC comes from a perpetuation of this thinking.
There is a status inflation.
Yes, status inflation entirely artificially created out of this system of small favors.
Right.
And this is all about control. What I'm trying to say is this is not about service delivery.
No. This is about some prevention, some version of like
Social control of some sort.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hierarchy and social control. Now, this same problem exists in the judiciary, which is there for exactly the same reason. So you create a judiciary and, even today you go and say, my lord. Why? It's a medieval
Practice.
European practice.
Yes.
Why are we doing this? We even have bizarre system. The entire court shuts down for summer vacations, winter vacations. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, these are colonial or even medieval practices, pre-colonial practices in some cases, which have remained in our system. We need a modern courts which are functioning. Yes, the judges need to take holidays. They should take holidays like everybody else. You put in an application, take your 2 weeks or year or whatever it is in your system, and you take your holidays. Why does the entire court system have to shut down for weeks on end for summer vacations? Why? So I'm just telling you that this whole mindset is the problem.
There is a mindset problem. I agree.
Yes.
There is an attitudinal hangover from the colonial socialist times that we carry on. And I think you are spot on, at least my generation. We realize very actively that there has to be something that changes about this. In fact, our view of the government's functioning is decided by, let's say, the administrative and the judicial touch points that we have, right? And when we see a clogging up, right? We see Tariq pe Tariq. We see the fact that cases do not get resolved, or I have to stand in line for 25 NOCs and licenses before I can open a restaurant up.
No, not just that. I mean, the language of those is also is strange. When you go to the court, it's a prayer. You got to be kidding me! A prayer.
So this is the language of my house. My dad's a lawyer, so when I hear that, it just automatically
Why
cracks
would
me
you be
up.
praying? I mean, who are these great, demigods
Right.
to who we have to pray? So I'm just telling you, the whole thing is set up wrong.
Right.
There's no point in, blaming a particular bureaucrat or a particular judge.
Right.
Some of those guys actually understand that this is absurd.
Right.
In fact, they may even have tried in their small way to change things. But the architecture is the problem, and hence the problem that I'm saying, the system is an issue, and we have to apply our mind to it.
Right.
After all, we have unwound another system. We had a license permit socialist system.
Yes.
We unwound it.
Right.
So it is possible to do, and
Yes.
it will not happen in one shot.
Right.
Because there is a whole architecture to it. So you'll change one bit of it, the rest, there will be pushback against it. After all, the vested interest in each one of these things.
Yes.
So it will evolve over time, but over 30 years, we did change it.
Right.
It's not fully, but very large proportion. This will also change.
So this is our plan over the next decade.
I think this is the 25-year-old project.
It's a 25-year
This
project.
is a 25-year-old project. My generation has started this. Your generation will hopefully end it.